Hello, fellow chatterers and book compilers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. I'm Chatty and welcome to my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where today I'm going to be chatting away, but hopefully not too madly, about how I did in the 48-hour Bookoplathon. So I'm just going to do like a little reflection of how it went for me and talk about the books I read and whether or not I did complete all the prompts. So I've got a nice hot cup of tea to get me through, 5 pages of notes, and I'm not going to tell you how many books. We will see. We're going to get there. Whoa. So yeah, I'm going for a snuggly vibe because it felt like a cozy weekend. So I've got my snuggly blanket and my hoodie and the space beanbag, which I am going to do another shout out for. This was also made by Nata, who is my mum. I've decided to give her a booktube name to fit with Chatty. So let's start. As always, technology is given me a adventure, which is the one shot, no editing. So here we go. Let's talk about some books. So the first prompt for Bookopoly, let's start with some basics. If you don't know what Bookoplathan is, it is a readathon done by Becca from Becca and the Books. I've linked her channel and I've linked the announcement video below, so if you want more information, please go and click that. As always, I always link the Storygraph links to every book I talk about, so please do go down and click those as well. It will give you a better synopsis than I can give about what's going on in the book. And it will also give you some trigger warnings, so if there are certain subjects you don't like to read about, you will be forewarned and know if this book is going to be for you or not. So we got 2 prompts at the beginning of Bookopoly. So before it all started, we had 2 prompts. The first one was read a short book. So it's any book that is under 300 pages. So this is the first book that I started reading. I did manage to join in quite a few of the sprints. I was kind of dipping in and out. So at midnight on so the Saturday morning, Friday evening, however you want to do it, I started off by reading Sweet Bean Paste, which is a novel by Durian Sukangwa. I apologise if I'm pronouncing this name wrong. And this has been translated from Japanese by Alison Watts. Now just finding my Sweet Bean Paste notes. So I'm going to talk about this book. It is definitely fits the prompt because it's 200 and something. Yes, it is 213 pages, so definitely under 300. As you can see, it's quite a nice little tiny book. Yes, we did have another book catastrophe. I put it down and it's on a wet patch, so it's got a little bit of a wrinkled bottom, but it's still really nice. I do love the front cover with the 3 main characters here and the lovely cherry blossom trees. So this is a contemporary fiction set in Japan, and it tells the story of Sentaro. Again, if I get the names wrong, I apologise. I'm really rubbish with pronouncing names, but I'm doing my best. And he is our protagonist and basically exists to just make dorayaki. He's been taught how to do this in a very kind of cuts corners way, unlike more standard confectionaries where there is more effort put into it. And he is working at Doroharu, which is owned by his ex-boss's widow. So when his boss died, he carried on making the dorayaki, but it's very mundane. It's very much getting through life and just kind of existing and hoping that eventually he'll get enough money to leave and do something he's actually interested in. But then Tokyo comes into his life and she wants to apply for the assistant. She is 76 and she has got a physical disability that affects her hands. So Sentaro doesn't really encourage her to apply for this job to start off with, trying to let her down firmly but gently. But Tokyo keeps coming back and it's like, you need me here, I can help you, we can do stuff. And so despite his original objections, they team up. and she teaches him how to make sweet bean paste from scratch to fill his dorayaki. And this just sparks off this beautiful, very unlikely friendship. It slowly blossoms and they just take joy in this enterprise, making this beautiful confectionery delicacy. And other customers notice the difference in quality, and they notice the change, and they start to do really well, and they feel really impressed by their achievement. But both of these characters do have pasts that are hidden from each other and are hidden from the reader. Sometimes I find this quite difficult to read because you know something's looming and it just feels a bit awkward, or you're just like, why don't you just talk to each other and let each other know rather than having a big thing. But this didn't feel like that. This just very much felt like, you know, everyone has a past, everyone has you don't always tell everyone everything about yourself, and that's absolutely fine. It felt very much like that in this book. And then when you find out more about them, it just makes sense to the character and things that are happening. It's like, oh, okay, I get it now. I understand why you would like that. So this book essentially is about this friendship. You know, it's not a huge book in terms of plot. It's very much more about character development. So if you're someone that really loves like platonic relationships and how these can affect people's lives and improve people's lives, and you start looking at the world in a different way, then this is really going to be the book for you. And I enjoy all of that. I am very much a sucker for a good platonic friendship, and one that feels very life-changing. So not only the two protagonists, so this is, in case you weren't sure, this is Sentaro and this is Tokyo. And then this character here is one of the customers. So a lot of schoolgirls go into the confectionery shop and enjoy some of the sweets. And this is Wakana. This is Wakana. She is a customer who gets on quite well with Tokyo, and she also features, not as much as the other two, but she also features in the story as well about how it also affects her life too. So yeah, there is a lot of human emotion in here. And if you're someone that enjoyed books like The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, but you felt it was a little bit like it was trying to give you a message. So a complete tangent. I really loved The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I thought it was a really well crafted story. I didn't get the impression that he viewed mental health in one particular way. I just thought this was one person's story and one person's reaction to it that happened over a long period of time. But if you felt that it didn't quite click for you, this is a much milder version of just looking at the world differently. So it's not giving you a message or trying to give you a lesson. It's just how one character happens to live their life and how it can inspire other people to look at the world differently. So if you felt there was something lacking in The Midnight Library but enjoy that kind of feeling, then this could also work for you as well. It does deal with loneliness and isolation. It is hopeful, it is heartwarming, it is bittersweet, and there are moments of loss and anger and prejudice in here, but I absolutely love this book. I had a wonderful time reading it. I wasn't expecting to enjoy it as much as I did. I thought it would be interesting, but no, it's warmed my heart. Particularly Tokyo has is definitely a character that stole my heart, and I really enjoyed reading this. And it was one of the books that I really wanted to read for the Asian Readathon, and I happened to get this in my Shelterbox BookClub parcel that came through the post. So yes, brilliant first read for me. So like I said, I started at the first words, please. Come on, brain. It's coming. It's coming. Live show. The first live show. So I started reading at the first live show, and then I finished early in the morning the next day. I did sleep in between. So yeah, I finished it around 8 AM-ish on Saturday morning. So then I picked up the next book. So this was the second prompt that we got before the readathon started, and the prompt was gods. And this is a book with gods as characters, or godlike characters who are like powerful people or artificial intelligence, or if there's themes of religion or cults in the book, or if it's inspired by mythology. So I went down more of those not so explicit lines for gods. I went with more of a powerful people for gods, and I read Rainbow Grey, The Eye of the Storm, which I was so excited to read. This is also on my May TBR, so it worked perfectly. And it's a middle grade, so it's a really easy book to read. So I started reading this on the Saturday morning. I actually started reading this, my son had a football match, and I was watching the younger one playing in the park, and he was quite happy, so I'd managed to do a little bit of opportune reading in the park to start off with this one, which was great. Anyway, let's talk about Rainbow Grey, Eye of the Storm. So, let's get in my notes. This is a middle grade book. It is a fantasy book, and it is by Laura Ellen Anderson. Laura. I really have trouble with her name. I never know if she's called Laura or Lauren, and I don't know why that is. I really should know by now. In fact, I feel like in other videos I've called her Lauren. So, Laura Ellen Anderson. This is the second book in the Rainbow Grey series. It has recently been released. I don't know how many books are going to be in the series. I'm hoping there's another 5, so that it's 7, and then that kind of fits that rainbow concept. Anyway, this is the Waterstones edition. We have got lovely purple sprayed edges with little pink stars and some clouds, and we have got Nim, the cloud cat, on the edge of the book, which is amazing. So yes, once again, we are in the Weatherlands. We are with Ray Grey. We are with her 2 best friends, Snowdon, who has snow magic, and Droplet, who has rain magic. And obviously Rainbow Grey has rainbow magic, but she is the only one. This has been a magic that has been long since disappeared from the Weatherlands, and Rainbow Grey discovered it in the previous book. So I'm going to talk about this book and my thoughts on it. So there could be mild spoilers for book 1, because I'm going to be talking about themes, and I'm going to be talking about things sort of vaguely alluding to stuff, but I'm not going to outrightly say this character called this, said this to this person, and then this happened. But it's going to be like a bit of a gist. So if you're someone that really likes to know as little as possible, skip forward until I'm no longer holding this book. I will also put stuff in the description about the timings of when I'm talking about this. I don't know how to do timestamps yet. I will maybe work that out at some other time, so sorry about that. But if you're someone that, as long as it's not a total spoiler, then sure, you could listen to this. So this book, we return to our favourite characters who are so much fun. I love the friendship between these 3. They are adorable. They really complement each other. You have Droplet, who is a lot more kind of like rule breaking, bending. She's passionate. She kind of would go in without thinking. She's mischievous. Snowdon is a lot more kind of cautious. He thinks everything through. He's the voice of reason and the voice of logic in this trio. And he follows the rules. He's very intelligent and knows everything there is to know. And obviously we have Ray, who is wanting to be an Earth explorer. She wants to go to Earth and find out more about it, and tell the rest of the Weatherlings all her discoveries on Earth. That's what she's hoping to do. They all go to school together, so we have school in here. We learn a little bit more about their lessons. We learn a little bit more about cloud magic in here. So if you are a big fan of Nim, the floofy cloud cat, which most people should be, if not, there's maybe something wrong with you, like you're lacking a heart, then you will be delighted to know we have more cloud characters to explore. So there is more world building in terms of the cloud magic. We've got more from Ray Grey's family. We know a little bit more about them. And we have a returning villain. I am quite happy for the villain to be the villain. It's a little bit on the over the top mustache twirly side, but that's what I want from this book. This book is a whole load of fun. It is lower end middle grade. So, you know, if you're reading, you can read it to sort of like 5, 6, 7-year-old, depending on how well they listen to stories and things. So it is definitely on the younger end of middle grade, and I just, and it just works so well. It's just really easy read, but this world is so much fun. The characters are adorable. It's a really fun ride. But if you are someone that, as an adult reader, likes to have books that are very logical, or you feel you'll see things coming, yes, you will, because you're an adult reading a book that's aimed to be accessible to, you know, 6 and 7-year-olds. And you've had a long experience of reading and know the kind of protocols that are followed. But I am here for the ride. I don't mind that I can guess certain things that could be cropping up in here. There were certain things that I didn't guess as well. But I'm very happy for the villain to be flamboyant. But they also have a fantastic backstory as well. Like, what the reason for their villainous ways is very well explained and logical, and it's actually quite funny. But also Ray Gray's response to this is also beautifully done as well. So it's got a lot of heart in this book. It's really hopeful. It's very compassionate and empathetic and doing the right thing, and Rainbow Grey is such a joy. But there is also some prejudice in here. Some people are very suspicious of rainbow magic. So Ray Gray has to deal with that prejudice. She has to deal with kind of being the only one with this particular brand of magic and standing out with it. And a lot of learning about how to control it and how to use it when no one really knows what it is. So yeah, there's a lot. It's a great progression on all of those areas. And it's, I did do another want to cuddle the book at the end of this. I really enjoyed the ending. I really enjoyed the resolution. Again, we have a wonderful cameo from Gusty Gavin, who is a fictional representation of Gavin Henderson from How to Train Your Gavin. So do enjoy that. And I love the way that Laura Ellen Anderson has written him in. It's so perfect. As a book lover, it's just so perfect. I love this world. I love these characters. It's adorable. I have the best time with these books, and I cannot wait to keep reading this series. And if you enjoy middle grade, if you enjoy the whimsical, it all sounds up your street, you are going to have such a fun time in this series. But, you know, remember, suspend your disbelief. Enjoy the ride. If you're looking for a more hidden plot or things that aren't going to be obvious, you're not going to find it in here, but it's just so much fun and it's so delightful and adorable. Okay, I think I've done Rainbow Grey now. I think, oh no, pictures. And it's all illustrated by Laura Ellen Anderson as well. So on the inside cover, we have this amazing illustration of Ray Gray and her friends on top of Nim. As you can see, Droplet is already being very mischievous here, and poor Snowdon is getting splooshed again, and he has a soggy sandwich. And then we've got some more pencil drawings of Nim. We have got more character explanations. So we've got 3 new characters that have been introduced here. I really enjoy these kind of fun facts at the beginning of Laura Ellen Anderson's books, where she explains who all the different characters are and gives us a little profile on them. I think they're really fun. Again, the wonderful map. So we did get to explore a little bit. We didn't get to all of these. They flew past them and spoke about them a little bit more, but I really want to get onto these and find out more about them. Oh, and there was a game. Yes, there was also a game involved. So you get some full page illustrations here, and then you get some more where it's just a little bit of a character by the side. I've marked out some other places here. Oh, here we go. Look, lots more rainbow magic. Look at that. We've got Ray showing 2 small people that her magic is not scary, and she's using her wonderful rainbow staff to create some more wonderful rainbow magic. Yeah, there's also a game in here. So there is I can't remember the name of it, but it's a fun game, and I'm hoping we see more of that. Droplet Dewdrop is the team captain for that game. There is an illustration of it, but I can't find it off the top of my head. So that was also fun. So yeah, a lot more world building in here, a lot more expanding on the world. Wonderful characters, a fun ride. Highly recommend. So that brings us along to the next roll drops that happened. So this would have been midday. So midday on the Saturday, Becca dropped some more rolls, and the third roll was ebook or audiobook, but it could also be a format you typically don't read as much of. So that could be a graphic novel, it could be a comic. I went for a novel in verse. So this is the fantastic Black Flamingo, and it's all done in verse. It's a YA contemporary, and this is a reread because it's one of my absolute favourite books. I read it last year. I adore it. It's amazing. And I'm obviously going to be talking about it, but I'm going to go through a few more of the roles first before I talk a bit more about this one. So yes, Black Flamingo worked perfectly for this because it's also on my May TBR, and I wanted to get it into this readathon. And then the second and the fourth role was a book, works so perfectly for me, with colour in the title. So I could have chosen Black Flamingo, but I did Rainbow Grey because we've got two colours. Rainbow's a colour. It has all the colours. And then so then we hit the Saturday midnight, Sunday morning midnight, and the next two roll drops was YA. Black Flamingo is YA. Perfect. And then the roll drop number 6 was Spooky, a book that gives you spooky vibes. Which I could have chosen some books that have got spooky. I'm not a very spooky reader. I'm not a horror reader. There are some books which give spooky vibes, but they weren't ones that were calling out to me. And at this point, I was still reading Rainbow Grey, and obviously then had Black Flamingo to read as well. So I didn't feel like picking up another one just to fit it into this prompt. So I thought I'd leave it and kind of come back to it. So, sorry, I'm just drinking some tea because my voice is going on. The tea's getting a bit cold now. Okay. So I finished Rainbow Grey on Sunday morning at about 7 o'clock. So then I was able to pick up Black Flamingo. And then at midday, the next two rolls were dropped. So the 7th roll was Water, a book with water on the cover, watercolours, so that could be like something with blue on it, or water related items like shells or beaches or something. So Sweet Bean Paste has got blue on the cover, so that would definitely count as a watercolour. But Rainbow Grey has water on the cover. Droplet Dewdrop has a rain cape on here, and she has got rain magic coming out there. So that is water on the cover of Rainbow Grey. Perfect, as I already read that one. However, roll drop number 8 was one that, if anyone did manage to do, is highly impressive. And this was Scroll Feed. So this is where you scroll through a social media of your choice, like Goodreads or Instagram, and you read the first book that comes up on that feed that you own or have access to. So at this point, I was only a third of the way through Black Flamingo. It is a quick read because it's all in verse. Pardon me. But I didn't have a huge amount of reading time at this point. So I thought I was unlikely going to be reading anything else besides Black Flamingo, but I thought I'd do a scroll feed just for fun. So I am quite limited in my social media. I have an old Goodreads account, but I'm not very active on it. And I mainly use YouTube. So I thought I'd just use YouTube as my social media scroll through. So I hit my subscriptions button and I scrolled through to get to the first book video. So the first one that came up on my feed is Becca from the channel ReadBecca, and it was a video that she'd got called Caturday Reads, May the 21st. So I'm going to link that all down below. And the list of books, there was one that I have, but thank goodness I had already read it because it was Pillars of the Earth. I don't know why I'm saying thank goodness, because I wasn't planning on doing this prompt anyway. But yeah, Pillars of the Earth is like 1,000 pages and is mahoosive and it's a historical fiction. So I'm so pleased that I had read that one. If you want to check out the video and see her other books, that video that I looked through is linked down below. She's a very eclectic reader, and had a lot of books that she was exploring in that video, but only that one was one that I had access to. So the next video that I came across was Sandra from the channel Got a Thing for Things, and she had a video about her favourite authors, her birthday, 14 books she'd hauled, and she was also going through, she was also doing the agent readathon. So this actually worked quite perfectly because I think it was the second book she was talking about was The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea, which was on my list to hopefully read. So The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea would have worked so well if I had the ability to just sit down and read and not need to do anything else. But unfortunately life. So I very realistically knew I really wasn't going to be able to read anything more than The Black Flamingo at this point. But it was nice to know that there was, I could have done it possibly. So yeah, I was able to kind of settle down and read the last 2/3 of this about 9 o'clock. So yes, I did finish it. I had a wonderful time rereading this book. I absolutely love it. And then when I finished this one, I was like, okay, I'll read some of the other books that were on my May TBR. Got excited for the last final 55-minute sprint. Started reading the first page. The next thing I knew, Becca's timer was going off and she was like, it's over! And I'd just fallen asleep. But I had a lot of fun. It was so enjoyable doing this. It was really nice. I really enjoy readathons. I enjoyed kind of like the camaraderie, finding out what everyone's reading, the kind of challenge of it. It was great fun. So let's talk about the last book that I read, which is The Black Flamingo by Dean Atta, a YA contemporary novel in verse. So this is the UK hardcover. And I love it. Like, it's a really small size. I think it's really cute. So it's kind of like square looking. And it's covered in these amazing pink flamingo feathers with some flamingo necks making a love heart. And here is our protagonist, Michael, as the black flamingo, holding a black flamingo and being dressed in these fabulous black feathers. And then the end pages have got pink feathers on them. And then on the naked hardcover, we have a golden foil flamingo, which is marvellous. There are so many things that I like about this book. I'll kind of go through a little bit of what in terms of like the content that I enjoy, and then in terms of the style that I enjoy. So like I said, the protagonist is Michael. His mum is a Greek Cypriot and her family live in Cyprus, and his dad is second generation British Jamaican, and most of his dad's family live in London, but some live in Jamaica. Michael's parents split up. His dad is quite absent from his life, but his dad's brother, who is known as Uncle B, and his grandma are a big part of his life. And then Michael later on has a sister. So I think she's about 8 years younger than him, called Anna. And her dad Trevor is with the family for a little bit, and then he isn't anymore. So it tends to be a family of three. Of Michael, Anna and his mum. And so you have this really lovely family dynamic between the three of them. We are with Michael from birth, and then talking through his early childhood, enjoying being friends with girls and playing with Barbies, and then he realises that he would rather kiss boys than girls. And then we have him going through school, his coming out, how that was with coming out to friends and family. There is some bullying in here, and there is some shaming, so be aware. It is, compared to other things, it is quite mild, but if this is something that you obviously have gone through, then it is going to be very triggering in that respect. So just be aware of trigger warnings. Do check the Storygraph links. So although obviously there are horrendous things that happen, this book has got a lot. This book is really hopeful and uplifting and positive, and deals a lot with all aspects of identity. It's got him exploring making friends, enjoying schoolwork, looking at his identity, looking at the people he admires and trying to work out who he wants to be. Michael really admires this fantastic different trio of Bob Marley, Maya Angelou and Beyonce. So like something in there for everyone, I feel. And he starts to write his own poems. He goes on to uni and he discovers drag, and this is where he feels he belongs and is comfortable with himself. He feels at his most authentic, he feels his most truthful, and is able to be all aspects of himself with no apologies. And that's where he feels free. And just the exploration of this is just, I can't put it into words. It just feels, it's really accessible. Like, it's written in verse, but it's really, really accessible. It's very easy to read. It's very kind of contemporary speech. There's a lot of things that are explored in a lot of contemporary books, but it just feels so heartwarming, and you do feel you're with Michael in all these kind of struggles that he goes through, but also these moments of joy that he has as well, and just kind of normal everyday life things. And I just love it so much. So one of the things I want to talk about as well is the way the book is formatted. So one of the things I absolutely love is some of it is written on black paper. So I'm just finding a bit here. So here, whoop, there goes my marker. So this page, there are sections throughout the book where it's printed on black paper. And the first time I was reading it, I suddenly realised that that's because all of these moments are really poignant. They're all really moments of like epiphanies for Michael, or like life-changing things for him. So for example, he is with his Uncle B in a car, and it's one of those moments that we hear so well. As a white person, we're only just hearing about it, but as a black person, is just so part of your life, and it's awful. It's this casual racism of just being stopped by the police because you're black. I have to admit, I am very ignorant. I wear rose-coloured glasses and led a cotton wool existence. I'm only now just becoming being able to understand, well, not even really, like, listening. That's all I'm doing. Like, I can't understand what it must be like, because it's never something that I've had to deal with. So it describes this, and I just want to read the end passage. I've never heard my uncle speak in these terms of them and us. I've never thought in these terms until today. So it does go through a whole list of things, but I just really like that little one there. And it is just that moment where it just highlights these turning points in Michael's life. We then have his notebooks of his poetry. So it talks about him writing poems. So it starts off, he writes them in the back of his maths books. So we've got the poem written here on this maths square paper. And so it's nice to just kind of be going through and having the novel in verse, and then just having one of his poems just put in here. So this one is called Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou's words are so clear. She writes about love and standing up for yourself in the face of inequality. Even though she's American, her words speak to me. Her poetry is everything I hope mine could be one day for somebody, even if that somebody is me. I just really love it. It just gives you a greater insight into Michael, and it's quite beautiful. And I've lost my notes. Oh yeah, and the other bit of formatting is we get some text chat. So here we go. So we've got a conversation between Michael and one of his friends. And again, what I really enjoy that just speaks volumes, just really simply. Other books might do this, I don't know, but this was the first one that I found in it. And so we're having conversation, and here we've got the deleted thing that he never sent. So Michael saying to Daisy, so Daisy's saying, how was your evening? And Michael says, so awful, I did something stupid, but it's crossed out and he never sent it. So I just think that's amazing that he wanted to say it, but just didn't feel able to talk about it, and then just goes on to, it's okay. So you have moments like that in it as well. And then obviously you have the novel in verse. And it's, again, this was my first novel in verse. No, it wasn't actually, that's a lie. I did read other novels in verse. There was a collection of novels, and I did enjoy those ones, but then I'd had a big massive gap. So this is the first recent novel in verse that I've picked up, and I really do enjoy reading novels in verse. One, they're very easy to read. I like the way it just highlights things and makes it stand out more than you would get in just everyday prose. So again, I'm just going to read a little extract just because I like reading sections of this aloud and just seeing how it just makes the words stand out differently than it would when you're reading something that's just written. I've just repeated myself. I'm going to stop talking now and just read. Kieran knocks at the door. Even though it's open, I feel that fight or flight feeling. He walks in towards me and my heart is racing. I saw you drop this, said Kieran, placing my letter to Rowan in the open palm of the book's pages. And I didn't think you'd want anyone to read it. He pauses. I read it though. It's really sweet. I'm embarrassed and confused and still a bit afraid. Are you okay? Asks Kieran. Yes, I'm gay, I say, ready for him to hit me. He laughs. No, idiot, I said, are you okay? Oh yeah, I think so. No, I say. Don't cry, Michael, please don't cry, I say to myself, but it's too late. I don't know why he's being so nice. He puts his arm around me and says, don't worry, you can't score every time, but you still got to take the shot. Respect for taking the risk, bro. I've got a question for you. Why did you ask out the whitest boy in school? Why not give a brother a chance? I laugh through my tears. You're funny. Yeah, Kieran sighs. So are you. I should go, but if anyone gives you any trouble, you let me know. He squeezes my shoulder and walks to the door. So there you go. There's a few little extracts that I hope have given you like the gist of the feel of Black Flamingo. It's one of my favourite books. I absolutely love it. If any of that sounds like it's up your street and you have not yet read it, I highly recommend picking it up. Go have a delightful time. So, so yeah, that was my experience of the readathon. So I, in the end, managed to read 3 books over the weekend, which was, I'm very pleased about that. That is very fantastic for me. And I had a wonderful time. 2 of these were from my May TBR, so that was brilliant. And one of these was from the Asia Readathon. So all books that I really, really wanted to read, which is marvellous. So yes, do let me know if you were also taking part in the 48-hour Bookoplathon. How many did you read? Did you get to hit all the prompts? Let me know your thoughts on these books. Have you read them? Would you like to read them? And anything else you want to talk about. I always love a chat. Thank you so much for watching, and if you did make it through to the end of my waffly video, then please you can either write end or do a little couple of dice emojis so I know that you got there if you didn't have anything to say but just want to let me know that you watched the whole way through. Happy reading, everyone!